Hello. So I am here with Miss Lawanna Harris. She is a part of the Chessie Harris Foundation, and she has worked at with NASA and at NASA for a number of years. And I have here today to ask her a few questions about mental health in teenage girls and just how mental health has impacted her during her career. So first, Miss Lawanna, I just want you to talk just a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, I am a retired mechanical engineer. I worked with NASA for a little over 31 years. I retired in 2020 and wound up working at the foundation, the Chessie Harris Foundation, on a more full-time basis right after I retired. I said, and it's been a whirlwind ever since. We've been, we have been doing so much with working with our youth, working with the scholarship program, and so many other things that are beneficial to kids in the summertime in order to keep their academic scores high.
That sounds amazing. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into the line of questioning I have for you today. As you know, Girl Springs, our project is going to be on mental health. So the first thing I want to ask you is, being a Black woman in such a male-dominated field, how was it in pertaining to your mental health, and how did you stay positive?
Well, everybody has always told me that I always had a winning smile and a jovial, my mother says, a loud laugh. And so I always just try to see the good in everybody. And I figure if they're having a bad day, maybe it's because nobody's done anything nice for them that day. And so the simplest gestures as a hello or holding the door open for somebody, even if it's just a head nod, I mean, just acknowledging that somebody is there. I said sometimes people just want to know that somebody else sees them. You know what I mean?
Yes, I believe that that is very important. And I do believe that a smile like yours can brighten up any day. So, my second question, when I want to ask you, is how do you believe in today's climate that teenage mental health can be impacted by certain careers as yourself? Going into, male dominated roles such as STEM. How do you think girls in today's age should look at opportunities like that to stay as positive as you?
Oh, listen, people are begging women to participate in stuff like this. And said, I think that we bring a different a different take on some of the STEM activities. We look at it from a different perspective, only because I think guys are used to putting parts together and not really maybe quite understanding how it's supposed to run smoothly, especially if they're moving parts. But girls have this perspective of color and texture and smell because they're used to being in the kitchen with their moms for the most part. And you wind up putting together the ingredients instead, with some stuff, if you over knead your bread, it becomes tough. And so you kind of have to have a feel for the texture. So I think that and then planning. You've got foods that take longer to cook and other things that take shorter times to cook. So planning it that it's all ready and hot, ready to go on the table for the family to eat at a particular time takes a lot of what we call project planning. And so I think that we look at it from the perspective of what has to come first, second, and third, what you can do serially, what you can do at the same time, and what are your long lead items. Those are all key things to working in STEM and working a technical problem is what comes first, the chicken or the egg. And I think that we bring a perspective that the guys working on car engines and learning how parts fit together or don't fit together and said is a little different perspective, but it's a complementary one when you have somebody that knows exactly when you need certain parts to get to certain places at the right time, or you need to start a process at a certain time in order to get the proper outcome. So, um, girls ought not be, or women ought not be afraid of getting in there and hanging tough with the guys. I said because you actually bring a perspective that they don't always have. And so I think it's a welcoming attitude. I don't think that it's, this male female hate and, it's a man's world and you need to be home, cooking or having babies or whatever. I think they really look forward to having a different perspective because a lot of times having a female uh, on the team, you kind of get to see the big picture really fast, and that's important in this technological age of everything moving so fast.
Yes, ma'am. And then I have two more questions for you. One of
Okay.
the questions has to be, in this technological age, as you were saying, do you believe that young teens and women have an upper hand going into some of these fields? Or do you believe, or would you say that some of the technology can be more of a clutch than a resource for new women coming into STEM?
Uh, I think it's pretty much an even playing field. I mean, for the most part, you know, women are pretty good at math right off the bat. I mean, and we're used to dealing with all kinds of figures. So the math part, which most people complain is the most intimidating part, I think that the women get through with a lot of ease. And so some of the things that are stumbling blocks for people to get in a technical field is math, but most women, like I said, are really good at math. So um, I wouldn't think that there would be anything that would prohibit a woman from being in the technological field.
That is
What was the second part of your question?
The second part of the question was, do you think that the new technology that we have now today could be, is it more of a clutch or is it more of a resource for women?
Mm, I think it's a resource.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think that it all kind of goes hand in hand. I don't think there's anything that anybody's gonna choke on. I mean, we can program. I mean, we work in a lab well. We work in the field well. We work in the office. Uh, we can handle money. We're good human resources and interacting with people and keeping the team pumped up and motivated. And I think that the one thing that people fail to realize is that nobody knows everything. It really is a team effort. You're not in this by yourself. And so um, I think that the only thing that might inhibit a woman is um, if uh, she is wangling in her own identity and said, but once you start taking a bunch of math classes, you get to really build your confidence that you know what you're doing. And so I don't think that uh, anybody would accuse women in today's field, maybe earlier, maybe in the 70s, um, would say that you're out of your lane. You need to get back in your lane. So I don't think it's a clutch. I think it's definitely a resource.
Yes, ma'am. So basically, women rock and we can do anything we put our minds to.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so my very last question is, do you have a inspiring or a motivational word to give to all young teenagers and women out there in the world? And it doesn't have to be about STEM, but just an encouraging word.
Uh, really, I don't really have one. The thing that I like to do is if I see a need, I like to try to fill that need. So whether or not it's somebody struggling with an issue, or if it's just somebody who needs a hand getting the groceries in, if there's a need and you have the resources, the capabilities to get it done, get it done. Everybody needs a helping hand, and it's always, always appreciated. And when you do something nice for somebody, you get to feel that warm fuzzy on the inside, even if they don't say anything. It's because you know that you did a kindness.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm going to end it there. I just want to say thank you so much for being here with me. I had an amazing time talking to this absolutely inspiring and phenomenal woman in her field, retired, just making things happen. So I just want to say goodbye to you, Miss Lawanna, and I had such a great time talking with you.
It was my pleasure talking with you, Nye. I said because you inspire me. Keep up the good work.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.